not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. This is a if exposed, remove the
Podcast for the curious mind. I don't know what that means.
Podcasting live from a Chinese-made microphone high atop Sioux Nation. I am the Ravine Helmet with wannabe sex worker and Big Poppy D. How is everyone doing today? I've missed you guys. Merry Christmas. Devin,
It's been a long time.
It's been a minute since we've been. I think since we've all been together, it's been over a month and a half. We've had a couple of little bonus shows. Lloyd Evans' channel was nice enough to let us post the interview he did with me. So that thankfully bought us a couple weeks. But got quite the show for you guys tonight. I don't know if the title intrigued you guys at all. No? Curious? Can't hear Devin. Devin, why no, can't hear you at all.
Still no.
Oh,
It's
barely.
Quiet.
Yeah,
It's
you're very quiet. It's technical difficulties here.
I don't know. What's
Oh, there you go. Hey, buddy. There's that sexy voice. Ah,
yeah, you know.
First of all, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope it's
Merry Christmas.
miserable for everyone running around, getting plans, having to do shit.
We did ours today.
Oh, you got yours done today?
No, we actually did Christmas today because both of us work Christmas. So Santa came
You were
early.
great company then.
Well,
I can
Make the big.
how many weeks do you have off here, Devin?
I just took next week off.
You just took next week off.
Yeah,
So you got the Christmas to New Year's, and then it's back to the grind on the 3rd.
yeah. I'm going back to Pump Down.
Do you go back on the 3rd, or do you give yourself that extra day?
Nah, I'm going back on the 2nd.
Oh, wow. To be a man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Pump Down too. So
I have
is money getting better that way or what?
yeah, but I got a 5-year plan. You know what I mean? Get my kids through college.
Nice. Well, that sort of ties into what we're talking about today with the title, To Be a Man. And I respect both of you guys very much. I think you're great providers for your families. You come from... I was being nice, Devin.
Bay's getting all like fucking gray on both sides of his head. Look at that.
I know,
I'm fucking growing up in
Shut up.
front of us, man.
Hitting hard, isn't it, bud?
Yeah, I'm due for my haircut, my monthly haircut. So,
Let me ask you guys, what do you think that means when you hear that term?
What?
To be what?
Be a man.
Yeah, be a man. To be a man. Like if someone
Toughen up.
stand on business.
Yeah.
So
Suffer in silence.
Toughen up, suffer in silence. Okay, that's 2.
Stoicism.
So, okay, so it's stoicism. Why don't you explain what you mean by that?
No, it's just like unwavering. You know what I mean? Like I'm not super emotional. You're just there.
Just present.
Yeah.
What do you
Sorta like-
suffer inside? Suffer in silence?
Yeah, no
sort of type?
crying, no
Yeah.
showing any form of weakness. Stoic is just kind of like
You're that chain that can't break in a
you
sense,
sit,
right?
yeah, you're sitting in a dumpster, everything's on fire, and you're like, everything's fine.
Yep. We'll get through it.
All right, May. What? Give me a couple examples here to be a man.
If I look at it, being a family, having kids, being that provider, being that strength, lead by example, protector,
Provider, protector.
provider,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
King of the castle.
king of the castle.
Yeah.
The powerful P's, just being that dude, being it,
Jack.
you have to be strong, for the week. And then you like Devin said, you got to keep a calm, cool head on, even when shit's burning to the ground. They're going to look to you for that, so
That would fall under the protector, right?
Yeah.
the protector in all scenarios type
Yeah.
of meaning. Yeah, the reason I ask is and I
And to have a dick and balls to be a
okay,
man.
that's okay. Also
Can't forget
important.
that.
Well,
Can't
that's-
forget that. I mean, that's what qualifies you to be a man, right? A
Yeah.
real set of nuts.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get
I
2 in
mean-
the pink, 1 in the stink.
Well, I was so proud
The
of
floor.
how you guys handled that conversation right up to the end. Right up to the end. I mean, it was literally I was transitioning into the and it just missed you guys. Okay. So I think 6 examples there you guys all gave. And I think what you should do is over the period of going back to work and so forth, you should ask this question to your buddies, or if you're gaming and stuff, leave it in the comments, or because I think you'll find very similar variations of exactly what you guys have just said.
Yeah.
Now, granted, how old are you? You're in your 30s. Devin's in his 40s.
45.
Yeah.
34.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good range of, usually that is between 35 and 46 or 44, whatever it is.
What
You know-
about you? What is it to be a man? You didn't tell us.
I think I agree with all those things. I think there's an interest. The whole reason why I went down this whole train of thought is, I don't know if you guys you guys know the rapper Dax? Have you ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
No. Well,
Mm-mm.
Hootie and the Blowfish, Darius Rucker.
Yeah.
He
Sold
he
out,
did-
went country.
Yeah, as a country fan, I don't think that was a sellout.
Oh, Dax. I know who Dax is. I have him on my iTunes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
He came out with this song. I'm going to play it for you guys because this is sort of what got me thinking about the whole thing in the beginning. It came out a year ago, actually, interestingly enough. But it's like really taken off. 6 million views just here on YouTube. I'm gonna play a little bit of it. See if you guys agree with this man. Now, granted, completely different culture from you guys, right? Different culture,
obvious.
comes up from a different area. All right. It's interesting how much the correlation of what you guys described as being a man.
I'm
Ties
short,
in with
so I
this.
can just grow my hair straight up, and it looks like an extension of my head. Like my hair doesn't do that; it just lays down.
Yeah,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
All right.
He's got that kid thing going on.
right here. This guy.
Looks like he lives in probably Michigan. Looks kinda
reminds-
cold.
He reminds me of the Burger King kid.
He
From
looks
the
like a
kids
fucking
club.
paintbrush.
We got it out of our system. Can we move on?
No.
Okay. All right, here we go. You guys
I
hear
can't
it?
hide
One.
myself. I don't expect you to understand.
Oh, don't be a bitch.
I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. Yeah, I know this life can really beat you down. You want to scream, but you won't make a sound.
All right.
To be honest, this is not how I picture this song going. I was expecting some rap, This
Uh-huh.
this is country
No,
music.
Dax is like a gospel kind of. He's on that like gospel kind of rap thing. I would kind of say. I don't know what's that genre that you would put him under.
Different
R&B
like a mixture
soul.
between country and rap. I think they call it crap. No, I'm sorry.
But first of all, that
I
dad,
like this song. I like
that
this
dad
song.
that got out of that truck. I mean, he's a little
Mhm.
old in the tooth for that young daughter. So like, he is going to be a little stressful. He's going to be a little stressed.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
he knows that he's dying and his daughter is in elementary school. So that would be stressful to me if I'm 47 having children at that
Okay.
age.
Yeah, he looked old. His wife looked pretty young too, didn't he? Like,
Yeah. Like she's a divorcee. His wife died a couple years ago.
She's just like tired of having to stick her thumb in his ass so he can get a boner to do her in bed.
Got so much weight that you've been holding, but won't show any emotion. As a man that goes unspoken, now we can't cry when life gets hard.
I
Unconditional.
think the term that Devin used was "don't be a bitch," but it's pretty much the exact same thing he just described.
No love for women, children, and dogs. We know that we just have to play our parts, and don't nobody give a damn about our broken hearts. Yeah, as a man, we gotta pave our way. Our only function is to work and slave. There's no respect for you if you ain't paid. You're disregarded as a human and you can't complain. And if you ever make it up and actually reach that base and find a woman that you love and give her your last name, you'll feel the things that you provide is only why she stays. And when you try to explain, you'll say, I can't hide my...
All right, just a quick little poll here because I'm curious. I'm just curious. How many, like, if you got, no one's watching this show, right? No one's gonna watch this show.
At some point it's gonna blow up. Like, well, we're all dead. We'll be like one of those things. We get famous after we die.
Yes. It is the luck of the ginger. We will be Da Vinci famous. Okay. How like if you pulled a bunch of guys that you got, hang out with or work with, and you asked them that question, if their woman only stays with them because of how much money they make, how many of them do you think says yes? Like percentage wise?
None.
You say none?
None.
Okay. All right.
I'd say there's a couple. A lot of them went to the grocery store and never came back. So, out for cigarettes and milk. Said, fuck it.
Which one, the guy or the woman?
Yes.
Both?
But, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they're because
So
you
you
see
think like
those, you see those
20%?
marriages all the time where they stay together for either the children or just the comfortability of being miserable, and it'd be too hard to start over. You see that kind of a lot now. But
See, Devin, I think you're being idealistic because if you really think hard, right? You were in the military. How many women shacked up with some Marines for their benefits?
This is no motherfuckers are broke.
Because so as a Midwesterner who never grew up in a military town, going to Colorado Springs was my first experience in the military world. And we're surrounded by 3 bases there. And so
Cheyenne Mountain,
yeah, you got a huge amount of military there, military guys. And what I observed, what I thought was interesting, is that a lot of these women would, be with the military guys, get their benefits, and then when they get deployed, I was like a high percentage cheated on their guys. Yeah, and then I think there's a certain amount of years you have to be married before you can always receive those benefits. Is that correct? It's like 10 years or 7 years, or
I don't know.
No, I don't. I wouldn't say it's less, because that's what you see a lot of times is they'll get guys that are gonna get deployed or get married quickly so they can get the benefits, and you get like extra family stipend or some other shit. And
I knew guys who got married to just friends, then they would give them like $500 a month and keep the rest.
Yeah,
when they were overseas.
Well, I know you haven't been in the dating game for years, Devin, but it's very interesting because I had a chick completely sit down and explain the whole process to me, how it worked. Yeah, and I was just mind blown. I was like, really? That's a thing? Like,
have you ever seen that movie with Richard Gere?
Say what?
Richard Gere, where he's like, the girls like camp the fucking Naval Academy, like for these guys when they get out, and they're just trying to land themselves one of the officers. It's Richard.
Yeah, isn't that
Officer and a Gentleman, isn't it?
Yeah, Officer and Gentleman. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's a whole movie about it, buddy.
Okay. So
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying amongst all my friends.
Okay, and that's fair because you didn't want to throw any of your buddies out, and that's.
But in the oil field, there was a lot of that, though.
All the ones that are like that are like divorced now. You know what I mean?
So you have seen it in, in younger marriages then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I mean,
I think as you get older, that stops, because you
yeah, we become the
wiser.
one. We're the ones that started being chased because they're like, he has a fat wallet. Just save the front pocket.
I
But
remember when my
even-
roommate
even
talking
when-
about seeing the ATM balance on a date she went out with. Like the dude got some cash out, and then left the balance in there in the glove, not in the glove box, but in the cup holder as we went to the gas station to get her drinks. I was like, oh, that's fucking.
that was my
smooth.
favorite move when I was younger in the oil field.
Smooth.
$10,000 in there. You just
Yeah.
sit it right there. Like, oh, I'm getting it sucked tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Aaron Gordon, the basketball player for the Nuggets, they did like an article about him or whatever, and he said, yeah, one time he looked up like a girl like pulled up her phone to like show him something, and like the top of her search was Aaron Gordon's net worth.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He was like, well, this date's over.
All right. So that's very interesting. I just thought it was interesting. It was, because this song is supposedly talking about the burdens, not the burdens, but sort of what's expected of men. The whole premise of this song is the idea of this guy is telling his son what it takes to be a man, right? So he's telling him, you're going to go through all these things, and you're going to want to have these emotions, and you can't show these emotions. And you're gonna see stories like you guys described in the oil field and the military, where there's people just definitely looking out for themselves. As soon as they've lost possessions, how many times have you seen that guy loses everything, and then the next thing he loses his family? She's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, it's terrible.
Myself. I don't expect you to understand.
Oh, he's a truck driver. That
I just
explains it.
hope I can explain what it's like to be a man.
Man, you need to review just like every music video. Your analysis is stuff I've watched this video 4 times for this show, and I haven't caught any of the stuff that you.
It's a lonely road.
It's throwing me off that he's like a black dude, but like everybody in the video is white.
It's not about how
Like he's the only one.
Because all those dads didn't stick around.
He can't be singing this song.
Don't give up. Keep fighting.
There's no
As a man, our sun is our horizon, and our father's actions play a role, and we end up like them. So they can't let us see them hurt, because we'll embody what they do and start a generational curse. No wonder most men are so depressed. All the things that they can't express, they go to war, get thrown on the shelf.
Do you think there's a high? Here's another analysis for you guys. What do you think the percentage is for men who are depressed?
Oh, it's probably through the roofs.
You think? I mean,
I don't know. The past couple years, that's all. Like, I listen to mainly just all sports talk radio, and the amount of like quiet therapy and like just therapy apps and things for men and all of that is just it's almost become like, hey, quit letting this eat your insides. Talk to somebody about something. You don't have to be tough all the time. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's because there's a lot like Corey said, like we all said, if you fail, like at work, you get fired, you get laid off, you quit, you don't pick up something better. Like they might tell you, oh, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. We'll pick it up. But like in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, fuck. Like, we could be homeless. And then he could feel like a failure because it might've been something he wanted to do. And then it didn't work out. And now you got to start all over. I don't know. It's a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's interesting. The official stat from Microsoft Bing is 9%. 9%.
Really?
1 out of
Very
10.
low.
I believe that.
1 out of 10.
Yeah, don't you think? Like 10% ish.
Well, and so that's sort of what we're gonna go into on this show is this sort of weird stat that I found on I gotta get rid of this here. Stop screen. Some weird stats I've stumbled across. I saw this video, right? I just thought, is this like a major thing with men feeling this way, that this video has skyrocketed in downloads? Like what's what's the reasoning behind this? Because if it's only 9% of men reporting that they're depressed, and most men are content with their lives, it just doesn't make sense that a song like that would take off as much. So I started doing some research just on different stats, because I don't know if you guys ever heard of this book called Man Against Himself.
No.
They talk about attempted suicide versus successful suicides. And in attempted suicides, women like outdo the men like by 8 times. I don't think it's that much, but I don't have the actual number. But on successful suicides, men are 4 times more likely than women through most ages. So, and in the last 3 years, suicide among kids 12 to 18 has skyrocketed 8 times among boys.
Wow.
Versus women, little girls. So I find this to be odd, right? Like, you have this skyrocketing suicide among men. And there's a great book called Of Boys and Men that I've been listening to. A guy who's a scholar, and we'll play a couple clips of him. Has done like all this statistical work and analysis on this subject. But I just was sort of curious to your guys' reaction. Like, when you hear those numbers, like, what does that tell you? What are you thinking? What's your explanation of it?
I mean, who knows? It could have a correlation to do with, families breaking up,
Yeah.
higher rate of split families, that you don't see your dad all the time. You don't see your mom all the time, or vice versa. I mean, the world's tough. And if you don't get raised right,
that's the big thing. And two, if you get raised to the point where, oh, you're a man, you can't fail. You're like, and you get that just drilled into you, and then like you fail a math test, you don't make the sports team, you get dumped, you find out you like wiener in your butt, whatever the case is. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot to live up to. And like, if the kids nowadays too, with bullies and everything else, and it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't.
It could be too that like it's the information, right? It's just it's at your fingertips all the time, and you're watching videos, and just like, if you don't like take yourself out of that for a little while, the macro just gets fucking huge, and the world is, oh man, we're doomed. Do you see what's going on over here? Do you see this and that and blah blah blah? Like, it just gets too big, and it just starts. If somebody's not there to be like, hey bro, like, come back,
Yeah,
it's too big to think that way. You can't control anything that's happened in Palestine and Israel. You know what I mean? You can't control what's happening in the Ukraine. Why are you fucking worrying about it? Like, yeah, keep your thumb on it, but like, don't sit there and stress. Like, gives a fuck. That's what's gonna be is gonna be. Like, you have to be able to just go live your life. Like, that's what I've coached my kids. But if you don't have people in those people's lives, like, see it all the time with me, even my kids, like the high schoolers, like, they have this ideology of what the world is, and they get out there and life's like, no, you're fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. Can you guys
everybody caters to them, and then they get to the real world and they're like, oh fuck, no one gives a fuck about me. No.
Yeah.
Here's a stat from 1999 being the blue color, 2019 being the
one
current,
yellow, or I see.
and you can see just how much it outpaces women and male suicide. This is suicides actually happen. Now, I got another interest. I just think this is interesting, right? I don't know what this means.
Also, those numbers, like, okay,
what's the bottom number?
Yeah, like, how many of those people are suffering from PTSD from deployments or drugs or just crazy shit like that drive up the numbers of male suicide? Like, You know, we've got friends in the service. Devin was in the service. You got people that, you know, like they take their lives because they can't, you know, they just can't compute anymore of what's going on, or they get back and they're just internally broken. Like, I mean, so this is kind of like, it doesn't really paint a true picture. I mean, it's shocking, but like,
It's deaths
you know,
per 100,000. I mean, that's actually, you're talking, you know, girls 15 to 24. There's only about 5 deaths per every 100,000. That's pretty goddamn low.
yeah.
Since 1982, there have been 142 mass shootings that have been carried out in the United States. How many of those were done by men versus female?
I can only think of one female one.
Yeah, me too.
The
There's that
California
stat.
one, right? That was a couple, but
That's 2 male and female, 4 female, 142. I'm sorry, for 148 total mass shootings as of October 2023.
4 females, huh?
did that one trans count? I mean, what they say officially?
I don't know. Maybe that's
I mean,
male
she,
and female.
Well, there's a couple trans. There was that one in Denver. That was a
That
trans.
was a dude, though, wasn't it?
It was a trans. I think it was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the same one in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Was a dude also, but
but the one here in Nashville was a girl,
crazy,
right? I believe she was a woman. Or
I don't know. Yeah, I just think I just think these stats are sort of interesting. You know, especially in the USA compared to other countries, male suicide has gone up. I mean, I don't know if you guys have you guys remember a few years ago the guy that stole the plane?
Yeah.
I watch that all the time on TikTok, but kind of like it's just one of those things where every time it comes across on my TikTok, I watch it, and it kind of like, it breaks my heart a little bit, but it's like, you know, damn,
Well,
like
okay.
you let it get to that point.
Before we go into that, here's the thing why I kept pursuing this is because I was like, oh, this is interesting, you know, because you don't really hear anyone talk about the guy side of issues when it comes to stuff like that. It seems very catered to other groups. So I was just curious, you know, like that's unique that this distinguished scholar wrote a book on concerning issues with, especially with the youth suicide jumping the way it did, starting in 2020. So the weird correlation. And then he also found out stats that student enrollment into colleges is it's significantly lower for males versus females. And if equal opportunity is lended, it's almost it becomes exclusively female colleges, where to the point they have to deny to keep the ratio somewhat adequate. But it's just interesting that so when it comes not just to suicides, but there's also this trend in education. And his explanation is that the male brain does develop slower than the female brain, and so there should be considerations for that in schooling, but it's not. Like, you're supposed to teach boys and girls at the same age the same things and expect them to learn equally when the male brain hasn't developed as quickly. You know, boys are just stupider until they're like, closer to 19, 20. Then then it seems their brain catches up rather quickly after that. And it's dead even after, 21, 22, which is just these are scientific facts. So, and he's trying to propose these, different solutions. But when he was getting interviewed, everyone was like getting mad at him. And that's why I thought that, I think we can all agree there's some interesting points being made, but why is everyone, sort of pushing back on this?
This is why I've been like dying beginning, and that song was fucking killing me because I'm just like, are we all in our fucking feelings? We all got fucking vaginas too, and we just want to be heard. And life's hard, and it's not fair that guys have to do all the work. That's what I'm hearing. I just hear a crybaby ass bitch song when I hear that. I'm sorry, fucking life's tough for a man. That's just how it is. And I don't, if I'm at war, I don't want that bitch next to me. I don't want that guy in my foxhole. I don't. Are you going to curl up in the fetal position as the enemy's running us? No, I want a dog that's like, fucking shooting back, killing motherfuckers. Like, that's what I want.
Send them freedom seeds down the hole.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what are we going to do? Shoot, motherfucker. That's what you do. Fucking buck up.
If we die, we die.
Yeah, fuck.
So, okay. All right. So you think
That
you
could be
don't
Marine
think there's
Corps
any
fucking
concern?
drill, you know, and it's,
You
No,
think
but I
like
think you're 100% right, Devin.
yeah.
You
That-
don't want someone that is internally shattered or broken, and then when it comes to it, they
Makes
just
it's
shit
weak.
themselves. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's cliche, but I feel
Mhm.
that way.
no,
Sorry,
I don't-
Corey.
I mean, no, I don't think I think that's what that I knew that was going to be your viewpoint coming into it. I think that's sort of that's always been the cycle. You saw your dad do that. You know, like what'd you say? You changed one diaper through 4 kids. You know, like that's like a very, you know,
Why
like
you put me on blast like that?
well, that's like the type of household you were raised in.
a little bit of misogynistic, yes.
Yeah, the man goes to work, the woman stays at home, and
I
then
did do that.
you know you're out there providing.
It's
in
hard
the-
these days
you know.
though now because there's those jobs that allow that kind of lifestyle are fucking far and few between.
Yep.
Like almost everywhere, people have to have a 2-income household because they can't afford it.
Well, now you see that's not true, Devin. That's actually not true at all. What's interesting is that what you'll see in the stats is that the system is very catered towards single moms being able to provide completely for their children. And it's interesting that within the last 15 years, the stat line for women, not only like surpassing men in certain wages, but also like those who are on welfare systems, really are able to financially provide for kids without a man's help. And this has been something that's been started to been implemented, I think, since the 80s, when they really started encouraging women to join the workforce. And that's something interesting that the statistician brought up is like the lack of males being able to be considered breadwinners for families have almost left them without any type of role in a family structure. Because if a woman can provide for herself and can take care of kids for herself, what role does a man have?
Have you seen those fucking videos like when there's like a woman who makes like 200,000 and she's like trying to find a man and it's like dudes are like I got that shit and they'd be like fucking
Sweeping.
dancing as they're sweeping and vacuuming and shit. I'm like fuck
Making
yeah, sign me
dinner.
up for that. I was talking about it the other day. I'm like, you girls done fucked up. You guys had it made. You're bitching about having, you got together. You had a girls' day every day, fucking drinking your mimosas. You could be 5 mimosas deep, but nope, your ass is sitting in traffic because you had to be equal.
But they've achieved equality, right? And this is
Can I stay at home?
you could.
We're not
You could-
allowed.
My
I-
wife does not make enough, bro.
I worked with on several people's houses where the wife was the primary breadwinner and the man stayed at home for tax reasons. The stay-at-home dads. Yeah.
Fucking, I love it.
Do you
Don't come
do you
at me.
think
Don't
that's
come
like-
at me with your feelings. You stay at home dad and still be a dad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I clean the house and shit. I'm not gonna judge you for cleaning the house. If you clean the house, that's fine. I clean the house, but I don't want you to be all sad and crying and it's like, oh, my huggy. I'm like, oh,
That's interesting. So that's the woman's role. That's
yeah. You could own it and be like, yeah, bitch goes and she provides for me.
it's-
Even that dick loser. I can actually cook a meal that I like.
Yeah.
I feel like
That has salt and pepper in it.
Yeah, a little seasoning. Like you bitching about meat and potatoes every night. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's what I have. It's what we have.
Do you guys want to hear what the author has to say on an interview with Bill Maher?
Sure, I would like
Why
to
the
know what
modern-
Jordan Peterson has to say.
Well, Jordan Peterson's already very in tune with this, but he doesn't. I'd be curious to hear his take on the stats on it. But this is the guy that wrote the book, so I figure at least he put enough effort in to write a book about it. So
Modern male is struggling, why it matters, and what to do about it. Richard Reeves.
Is this on Bill Maher? Yeah.
Wow. You look like a model of the modern male.
Thank you too.
Oh, I
it's just
appreciate
so
that.
disgusting.
So
You
the
can't
first thing I
stand
want to
Bill
ask you
Maher.
about this book, reading about it and then about it, the book itself, then about it, is that just broaching this subject, which is really non-controversial in the sense that it is really happening. The modern male really is in trouble. We have statistics and data, but just covering this is somehow dangerous for the author. Could you explain that?
Yeah, that was the fear. That was what people said to me before writing it, is if you just write about boys and men, people will assume that you're Josh Hawley, effectively, that you're just part of the manosphere,
Right.
you're on the alt-right. And the more people said that, the more I thought, I really do need to write this book, because I think it's an axiom of political life and cultural
His ass
life.
is tanner than my
But if
face, guaranteed.
Say what now?
His ass is tanner than our faces are. That's for sure. That guy spent some time in a tanning bed. I'm just saying.
And he's from England. What the fuck? Yeah.
Responsible people don't address real problems in a straightforward way. Irresponsible people are going to exploit them.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a lesson of history. And so I lead with the facts. Let's get to some solutions, and also let's do ourselves the favor of assuming we can think two thoughts at once. That we can think there are problems for boys and men, especially working class boys and men, and black boys and men. There are still many issues still facing women and girls. And guess what? We can hold both those thoughts in our head at the same time.
Of course. But I must say, just anecdotally, as someone who, never been married, never have children, but I certainly know most of my friends did that, and their kids have grown up, and I've seen that. And I've heard over the years, especially when they got a little older, a lot of times I hear, I worry about my boy. The girl's doing fine, but the boy, I can't get him off Pornhub, and the grades are bad. And I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
What changed? When I went to college, it was, unfortunately, almost all men. Certainly where I went.
Right. Where did you go?
Cornell.
Okay.
It sucked.
I believe you.
Yeah, and now it's flipped. Now
it's the other way
the
around.
colleges are majority women.
Yeah. In fact, 50 years ago, there was a gender gap of about 13 points in favor of men. Now there's a gap of 15 points in favor of women. So there's more gender inequality on college campuses today than there was in 1972. It's just flipped. It's the other way around.
What's the short answer for why this happened?
I think the education system actually suits girls and women better than boys and men on average. And we didn't know that because previously we weren't encouraging girls and women to go on to college. So under conditions of sexism, actually their natural advantages in the classroom didn't really show up. But since we've taken the lid off women's educational opportunities and aspirations, they've just blown right past the boys in high school and college, etc. And so it turns out that a level playing field exposes who are the better players. And in our current education system that rewards sitting still, turning your homework in, paying attention, looking to the future, etc. Those are all skills that on average girls just have in greater abundance than boys. That's a fact.
I'm sure it is, but I must also say I've heard this forever now. Not forever, but for many years, that your boys are at a disadvantage because they have a harder time sitting still. I'm sure I did too. But when I went to school, they didn't give a fuck. It's like, sit still. And we did. You're a boy. So what? Yes, you're a little more antsy.
Yeah.
But you still can be told to pay attention and told to study and do all the things we were told to do. Isn't it more that parents are just too indulgent?
No, it may well be that that's true in the classroom. I have to tell you, my experience is similar to yours, is that most of the parents I know are not really indulging their boys. They're worrying like hell about their boys and trying to help them out in various ways. And increasingly, I think parents are coming to realize that the current way that classrooms are run and the current structure of education just isn't suiting our boys very well. So currently, almost 1 in 4 boys in the US have been diagnosed with a developmental disability. Almost 1 in 4.
1 in 4.
That's because people allow them. Fucking assholes try to fucking tell me my boys are ADHD. I'm like, no, they're just fucking boys. I'm not putting them on Ritalin or whatever else you want. They're getting A's on the tests. That's all that matters. That he's not doing your fucking homework.
What do you think of that stat, May?
I think they're
Yeah.
misdiagnosed.
Yeah, I agree.
But misdiagnosed, you know, the next thing that they're prescribing. It's
They're giving them
diagnosed
drugs,
and
yeah.
prescribed. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got 1 in 4 boys being prescribed drugs, right? Read that stat like that, right? And then you wonder why mass shootings are 98.9% male.
Or addiction
Is there a
high.
is there
Yeah.
a correlation?
Possibly.
Yeah, because half those drugs have the side effects that will send you down those holes are, depression, suicide, all
Those
that,
are the
all
side
that,
effects.
yeah, all that stuff that comes in there. So yeah, of course, you pump all these teenage boys full of Ritalin and all that shit. Yeah, you're gonna have that.
You can also talk about how they're just pushing kids through too. Like, there's people that are failing and they just push them through because they don't want to fucking deal with them.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with them. They want
You
to
know,
drive
and
them.
that goes back to the split household thing. You know, some parents are terrible and they don't do shit, and their kids just skipping all the time, and they just push them through.
What
So-
about you talk about the home life of children are a lot different than the home life of your generation. Like growing up, you were in a small town, right? Until how old?
I had a class of 17.
Okay, so how many people in the town you grew up in did you know got divorced?
Oh, fuck, dude, I didn't keep in touch with hardly any of them.
When
I
you were
don't
a kid,
know.
you would.
Oh, you mean from divorced families?
Yeah. How many kids did you know were from?
Let me
divorced?
think. 1, 2. I mean, not many.
Two families.
Not many.
Yeah. May, it was a little more common in our age.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I wouldn't say half, but it felt like majority of people in my circles, the higher number was divorced parents for sure.
Oh,
It
wow.
was, yeah, it was, yeah. I could only, top of my head right now, I'm thinking of, yeah,
I think the
I could
stat
think
now
of 5 families that or 5 friends of mine that had like mom and dad there. The rest of them come from, divorced parents. So,
What would you say the percentage of divorce in the USA is now, Devin?
Isn't it like 50? It's
50?
like half. It's half, isn't it?
and it can't be good. I know the numbers have to be.
I don't know. I'm looking it up. So
Oh, I think it's like half of marriages fail, bro.
I always seem to hear that stat.
You know, it's actually higher amongst lesbians.
Really?
Yes,
I don't think
for real.
anyone's
Like,
shocked by that.
yeah, like, well, no,
I
it's just
kind of
that,
am.
You know, women are
Yeah.
like, God damn, you're right. Women are fucking terrible.
Yeah.
School system. Do you think the school system could be adjusted for boys a little bit better? I mean, I understand like you got to train the mind to be able to pay attention because that is a muscle, being able to pay attention, and you can train the mind to keep attention focused for longer than 3 seconds. But
Says 33%.
Interesting.
33%
It's
of
just-
marriages end in divorce.
I think it's tough though for the boys. You got so many distractions. You got so much shit going on. Like,
Yeah.
you
mean-
just want to hump or play sports or video games. Like, is your teacher hot? Is she gonna, ask you to come over and you're gonna run into your car? Like, what, like,
Yeah. Wearing a
like
robe
it's-
that
yeah.
she bends
think
over
about-
seductively. Says, here's
think
that
about-
tip from Atlantis I got for you.
Yeah.
The classes that you had growing up that were mostly male oriented.
Football.
Okay, is that a class?
I'm just saying. Like,
Obviously, football
in high school.
didn't they have like shop? Or like they didn't have.
Yeah, I had ag in my deal.
I guess they did. They had a cosmetology and home ec and shop, but I didn't do any of that. So, but
You know, if you really think about it, Corey, like, when do we start losing some of our freedoms? When women started to vote.
100%.
because women will always choose safety over anything else.
That is true, but it also is not going to change. So it's a matter now of having to.
It's a matter of time before we lose all our freedoms.
Well, I think it's also a matter of time that we have to address that there's a significant issue going on with males who are being raised in this society, right? Because
you're saying they're making a bunch of wimps.
Well, and
Pussy.
here's the thing: they're not wimps, though. These people are not wimps. They're men that have been trained to repress their manliness in order to survive in a world that is matriarchal.
So you say some of them are sucking dick even though they don't want to.
No, I'm saying that they're. I'm
They repress their masculinity.
So put a cock in your mouth?
I know, right? Like what the?
Well, I mean, if you're trying to be a chick, eventually.
You know, my uncle told me a story that a cop pulled him over outside of a Shopko store, and this is in the 70s, and he was the cleaner. He was contract cleaning that. His dad owned a cleaning business. Cop was giving him a rough time, calling him a thief. So Ron pulled him out of the cop door window, and then proceeded to beat his ass till another cop came and stopped the whole thing, and then they just parted ways.
Oh,
right?
damn. Yes.
Okay, that was 50 years ago.
You can't do that these days.
Why can't you do that?
You can't beat up a cop?
Because violence. You can't be violent too. Because back then it was just a bunch of male cops. Now I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'm just saying that how men interact with each other.
It definitely is softer.
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
I went to the CSU game 2 or 3 weeks ago. And some of the police officers that were there were women. And I remember I went up because I was going to get another drink. And this cop chick had to be like $120. You know what I mean? She was fucking little. Bulletproof vest, the whole shebang. And then I just thought, I was like, if I really got rowdy, what the fuck is that little girl going to do? Fucking nothing.
Shoot you?
You know what I mean?
She knows she
like
can't
there's
take
no
you.
physical restraining. They no way. The three of them together, I would have put money on couldn't have fucking got me. Like without stuns or whatever else, right? Like it would have been they would have been like, oh fuck.
That's because this ideology has taken over reason, Devin, and it's been like that for now 20 years, I would say, where it's like it doesn't really matter what the situation is. We're going to have a certain amount of this number of individuals to not, face an ethics board, and that's how this is how the takeovers started through legalities. All I'm saying is that this is the world we live in now, and because of it, I think there's a direct correlation between an 8 times jump in suicide for boys between 12 and 18. I mean that's. Sure, it's in the grand picture, it's not a huge number, but still, when you've got 1 in 4 kids being put on prescribed drugs that inhibit their mental ability and these drugs can drive kids crazy. It's in the in the warning.
Yeah.
They have to tell you that. I don't know. Let's finish this little interview up here.
I suggest that might be less about the boys and more about the system that we're trying to force them through, which it turns out doesn't suit all of them very well. And so rather than blaming boys, I think we should be reforming the education system so that it's as male friendly as it is female friendly.
Well, how do you do that?
Well,
I mean, how?
Well, one thing we could do is reverse the tide, which has seen male teachers basically leaving the classroom. So it's only 24% of K-12 teachers now are men. It was 33% in the 1980s. Almost no early years educators are men. And so the teaching profession has become steadily more and more female. We've also retreated almost entirely from vocational education, technical high schools, apprenticeships, etc., which on average suit boys and men better. But we've retreated from all of that. And so let's bring some of those back. Technical high schools, more male teachers, more recess. And by the way, if it's true that boys find it harder to sit still, sure, you could tell them to sit still, but it might also be a good idea every now and again to run them around. So let's have more phys ed, more extracurricular activity, and so on, rather than saying there's something wrong with them.
Right. No, I agree, but
Right?
at some point you just have to sit still and pay attention. And by the way, for me, maybe we should have more male teachers.
Yeah.
But when I was in 6th grade, the only reason I paid attention was Mrs. Hill.
Well, I don't know her, and I'm afraid
Well,
of her.
if you saw
so-
those sweaters she wore, you would understand. But
She sounds pretty scary.
no, she was not scary.
That is a horrible joke. Bill Maher sucks. I mean, honestly can't stand him. Interesting though. I thought you guys like to pick your brains on that. If we pay attention, we all have kids too. You know, that 1 in 4 stat's very interesting. You know, and maybe it wouldn't hurt in a moment like this to shut one of them up. Oh,
Oh wow, you getting yelled at, Jordan?
yeah, drug that kid.
Like Corey.
Nice.
What?
I said, tell his midget.
Said it with bass in his voice.
He's got
I'm the
he's
perfect.
got the testosterone fucking flowing.
I think his voice crack when he tried to threaten me.
The first time. The
That's-
first
that's
time.
the first time
He
you-
readjusted.
You tell him
Oh,
this, Gimli,
here it
listen,
comes.
bro. You're the perfect height to nail you in the balls. All right, I'm not worried at all. I fight dirty.
What are you doing?
I'll bite that left testicle off in a moment.
He's calling you short.
That's fine. Gimli was short. He fucking still rocked the Lord of the Rings. He made it to the end. You know.
He said you look like Gimli. I love
Why
it.
can't he be the one that's suicidal? Jesus.
Wow, that's fucked up. Nothing. We were talking about like you suicide and stuff, and he
Let's-
said, "Why
let's
couldn't you be
get-
the one?"
Let's get his
See, he's talking shit.
perspective. Let's get his perspective. I'm curious. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's in school.
Put a
Here,
shirt on
I'll
first.
put him on.
Yeah.
So we don't get
got a
You gotta,
couple
like,
questions.
you gotta set up the question now.
Oh, no, I've already got it set up in my head. It's fine. I'm gonna slaughter.
Here,
this.
you just sit in my seat. Let me get up.
Yeah,
Nick.
no, come
Goddamn.
on. We got a couple questions on. A little eye candy for the female viewers out there. We've
Put a-
already
put
popped
a
up
shirt
a
on.
few views.
I don't have one.
Listen, okay, so we're talking about we found an interesting stat that kids from the age of 12 to 18 that are males are more likely to commit suicide. It's jumped 8 times. So I'm curious because you're in a relatively large school, right?
Kind of. It's
Okay.
smaller than my high school, but
How big's your high school?
like 2,500.
2,500 kids. Not that big.
But going back to high school, did you see that when you were in high school? Did you see like your classmates, kids your age, boys, like struggling with trying to figure out what it was to be a man, to leave high school, to the peers and the fears of the father from the home? What did you see in high school? With your classmates, male wise, to back up these numbers. That's what I find interesting.
Like at my high school, I didn't really see it much, but again, I'm coming from the athlete side, so I was friends with football players who were, for the majority, popular and well liked versus somebody who might not be there. So,
Did you hear anything about kids that struggled though, or in passing, or were you just so focused on what you were doing that you didn't really notice anyone other than focusing on graduating?
I mean, like in my class, there wasn't really anybody that was like crazy out there. Like there was obviously like the kids who like would go to therapy and stuff, but there wasn't anybody who was like everybody's like worried about this person.
Did you know all the kids that would you know the amount of kids that were going to therapy?
Probably not. No,
Like
because like every person's different, and like some people view that differently. But
would you say there was like like maybe 5-10 kids that went to therapy in your school?
so in the whole school, I would say probably like 200 to 500 that like you could like point out that went to therapy.
So
Damn, we didn't even have therapy in high school.
Yeah, like well, like we had like a little like mental health like center in our school that like if you're like having a rough day, like you could like tell your teacher like, hey, I need a break, and then they'd like send you there for like 30 minutes or whatever.
what would you do if you were in there?
So I went on like a class trip when they're like when they were trying to inform everybody about like all the things that they had, and there's like there's like a relaxing meditation room, and then there's like puzzles and like bean bags and like fidget toys and just like stuff that you can just kind of go there and chill, and then they have like students and sometimes like counselors and everything in there that you can go and like talk to about stuff.
Would the students like volunteer for that class or something?
Yeah, it's like peers, and then so like they meet so like with peers you'd have like certain meeting times, like you could go and talk to certain people and stuff like that.
Would they get credits for this or?
I'm not sure how peers works because I wasn't a part of it, but one of my friends was, I know, but he had to do like extracurricular stuff for it, like he had meetings and everything. It was kind of like student council, but like not, I guess.
Now
It's
you're
like
in
a club.
You're in college, right?
Yeah,
In,
freshman.
Iowa.
Yep.
Iowa. Welcome to the
Mhm.
big leagues, bud. So glad you're going to Nebraska. Like, hey, listen, you're farming.
Where did you go? Where are you going?
Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon.
Well, it's
Nice.
Cornell College in Mount
You
Vernon,
like it?
Iowa.
You happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I get to play football at the
Yeah.
next level, so enjoying that.
Congratulations on that, by the way. That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal.
Thank you.
Make your old man proud. Have you noticed any type of center similar to that at was it Mount Vernon?
Yeah, so it's a like pretty small town. There's definitely some people that are weird. Like so for I don't know like male perspective on this, but I know
You have a
that
female perspective on this?
it because one of the dorms has this girl who's tried to jump out the fourth story window like 4 times.
Interesting. Now, the stat said that women attempt suicide at a higher rate than men.
They're just
We're
not
just
Men
more
commit-
successful at it.
But men are
Yeah.
more successful at it. Yeah.
I think that's because we choose more aggressive forms. Like we use guns and knives and shit, whereas women are like, I'm gonna kick a chair out from underneath myself and then they can still touch the ground.
Not to downplay it, but it does seem like it's more of like a call for attention than it is
Yes,
to
yes.
end something.
Or they try to cut or whatever. Whereas men are just kind of like more straight to the point about
Now,
it.
do they have like when they gave you a tour of the area, do they have a similar like center like they had in your high school for people who need a
No. So they have like the like student success center and like all of that, but I haven't really heard anything about.
I
like,
bet with being a
mental
student
health or
athlete,
anything.
though, it's probably different. They're probably geared and shifted more towards growth and development and not letting
Mhm.
that outside bullshit get inside. So being
Yeah.
a student athlete, it'd be difficult to get his perspective on it because they're almost nurtured and cared for in a whole different way. Like,
Exactly. Like
you would have to bring someone else in and
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
side of it because the student athlete, you're brought in as a slave in a sense to make that school money and then hope to God that you go on bigger and better things.
Yep.
The other students, they're not seen like that. I mean, yeah, they give the university money and stuff, but it's not it's not like that. Those student athletes are going to be nurtured and provided for every which possible way.
Well, and I think the biggest thing you brought up that I found interesting was it's like 1 in 5 was attending that. What did you call that center in high school?
The mental health thing.
The mental health thing. Now, you don't think mental health issues is a sign of weakness, right? Or do you? Like, I'm just sort of curious.
Well, so with certain things, like if like so you got like I have this friend and he's kind of a pain in the ass because like he'll text me like kind of like just random shit, kind of reaching for attention. Like he'll like text me the like you're the only one that loves me type stuff, and then so like I feel like that's just like toxic and like versus whereas it's like I'm doing this because I want to improve and like get out of the situation.
I mean, mental health, I'm not going to slam on it. It is necessary. It's not 1942 and we're not going to World War II. Like, like now they understand, like they're trying to make sure that our brains and souls aren't poisoned, but it's also gone almost too far to be like, well, you can be soft and insecure, and if you want to be a girl, you can be a girl, and you want to be a girl that's a boy, go ahead and be a boy. Like it's almost too far. They needed to find that fine balance, and they went way over the line with it. They need to rein that back in to
Well, this goes to my next question, May, because and I want to get, because we had the millennial to, what is your dad, a boomer? Is that what he is? I think boomer mentality.
I give him shit, but he's technically Gen X, I think.
And you are a what? Zoomer?
Gen Z.
Okay, yeah, you're a Zoomer. So, what do you think it means to be a man? Like, when you because you're still in school, you're not a man yet. I mean, you're a young man. You're a young man, but like when you see yourself at 40, 50 years old, what do you think the epitome of being a man is going to look like for you?
So for me, I feel like it's very different compared to like the majority of my friends and everything, especially here. I don't know, like I see myself working, saving money, investing, and hopefully retired by the early age of like 45, 50.
Okay. A family by that point?
Family by that point.
How many kids? Are you kids?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. Interesting. Okay. All right. So it involves being a man involves having a very, very successful life, obviously, making money. You have goals and providing for your kids, probably sending them to college like your old man did, right?
But if you listen to what he said, though, it's a shadow of what his father has casted. Devin is investing. Devin is in that. Devin is instilled that into his children, maybe even not through words, but through action. So what he's saying is just the big shadow that you see on the wall of dad. You know what I mean?
I mean, and he's got the fighting spirit of his dad,
Yeah.
so he's gonna be successful no matter what. What now? You said that was different from other kids you had growing up or were hanging around. Like, what was their perspectives? Like when you said that, what were you thinking of when, like, if I was to ask them what to be a man was, what would you have heard?
How many friends do you have that come from broken homes? First,
so
go with that.
Okay, first, the majority of my friends, I would say probably 2/3 of my friends come from divorced families.
Okay.
So that's not really like a thing that you see a lot of anymore, is parents that stay together. But I also think that's part of the problem, is nobody wants to fix a problem. It's just stay in it until it's not good anymore and then leave it. But so like, I don't know, the majority of them would probably say like successful, but they're probably living by themselves and not really having a family by any time. Like they probably wouldn't even like start a family until they're like 35, because everybody is like so concerned
It makes
on
sense,
the fact
though.
that like they have to explore and find out who they truly are, which I mean is a thing, but like there's also a certain point
that makes total sense, because when I think back on it, when my parents got divorced, I was 20, 21, 22, right? And then for a small period, I was like, I just want to hump. Like, I don't want a relationship. I don't want marriage. I don't want any of that, because what I thought was a strong, solid foundation to look upon and kind of build yourself after it. I'm not saying it was a lie, but it come apart. And then when you learn why they split up and this and that, you're like, shit, it's sloppy. And the only reason really at the end of the day that my parents stayed together was because there was 4 of us. And and how they were raised younger was you stayed together for the kids. The kids were the most important thing, because the kids are the future. And you put everything else aside. You put your misery, you put your pain, you put all that bullshit aside, and you build those kids to be the best versions of what they can be going into the real world.
Do you think that the reason they want to hold off on having kids is correlated to the fact they come from broken homes? I'm just curious about your perspective.
Yeah, I don't know about like the whole like putting kids off because they come from broken homes, but I would say that it definitely impacts the way that they like look at relationships, because like they just like stay in it while it's fun and then just kind of skip on to the next good thing.
Do you think that's because women don't need a man to provide for them anymore?
Oh, okay. So I would say that
Surely you heard that.
the
in
women,
high school, women saying that.
yes, I've heard women saying that.
Okay, all right.
I don't agree with it because I feel like the women that say that don't like understand like actually.
I mean, the
how
government
much-
plays
how-
to it.
What's that, Chris?
Like I don't understand like how reliant they are on men. Like if so I saw a thing on TikTok. I don't know how true this is or not, but supposedly in another foreign country, like all the women for 24 hours went on like strike or something, and the only thing like the majority of the people heard about it was that like HR complaints were down, and all the CEOs were like, finally we can get shit done.
Let me rephrase that question because it was a poorly phrased question. Do you think that because women are no longer financially dependent, so like women don't need to rely on you to bring home money, like they have enough welfare and systems put in place for them that if they have kids, they can have free daycare that will cover the cost, and then they'll be able to still work and make money and get assistance with food and stuff, and that to the point or that, and that's the low case scenario. There are some very successful women out there too that go to Harvard, choose to have kids, and can provide for them, because they make billions of dollars. So that's on two spectrums, which hasn't been true before. So do you think that is a correlation between like you no longer are required to have to bring home the bacon? Like she can bring home the bacon, so and she can do it without you. So if let's say all the women by the time you're decide to settle down, are at that point, like what purpose then do you have? Or are you looking just for a woman that's going to be more dependent on you bringing home the money?
So like for me personally, I wouldn't care. I still have my job because I feel like I'd get bored just sitting at home all day and like doing nothing. But if she's making good money, then like I wouldn't be against that. Like go make your money as long as it's in ethical ways. But yeah.
I mean,
Bro, you did awesome. Thank you so much. Good job, buddy.
Thank you,
All
Corey.
Give it back to your dad.
Okay.
I'm done talking to you.
He said that I did awesome and to give it back.
put a fucking shirt on. But I will say though, with
Devin's talking about being all tough and manly, and then do you see his shirt? Devin,
You didn't read the whole thing though.
Devin, show your wife. Show your shirt. Right there. I love my wife. Love my wife. I don't know what else it says here.
Like statistically, women are waiting longer because they want to develop careers now.
I love my wife.
Car parts.
There you go.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Well done.
See?
All right.
I get so many comments on that. Some people are like, oh, I like your shirt. And then they don't read it. And then the ones who's like, there's got to be more to it than that. I'm like, I thought so.
That was a very interesting perspective that your boy gave. That's very
Nice.
Thanks. You should watch it because he did a really good job too.
I was kind of standing there. I didn't hear what you guys were saying though. But...
No, we were talking shit about you.
Ah.
But I mean, but now if you look at it too, like where the women are set up to succeed. I mean, even on the other hand, look at what OnlyFans and Fansly and all that shit has done for women too. Like you could go be a doctor, a teacher, a nurse, or whatever, and then you could take your clothes off or leave your clothes on, or you can make so much more money now. To be a woman, in like that running joke you see on TikTok all the time. If you're not on OnlyFans by now, you fucked up. Like,
yeah.
It's you don't even have to, fuck or get naked. You could just, like people just get on there to have followings and do whatever. But it's gotten to the point where it's like, I mean, I joke with mine all the time. Hey, let's sell some feet pictures, or let's go take some granny panties and sell them to some pervert at the truck stop. Like anything to catch a dollar.
Well, and I've got no problem with people who make money, and sex work is the oldest profession in the world. Not the most desired profession, but a profession, and like if you make money, and that's what you want to be known for. And
Now it's like
that's
being
your
a
body,
Michelin
your choice
chef.
type of deal. I just think like, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that women can provide for themselves. I much agree with Richard there, where it's, why can't we have both? Why can't both be successful here? Like what's this trend, this educational trend towards men's going out, and the ability for a man to have a 9-to-5 job and provide for a family of 4 is non-existent for a person in the trades, or for a person in retail, or for a person in the there's several professions, like unless you're sitting in front of a computer, but for men that work with their hands, and have to build things, the ability to provide for a large family is very difficult. Sometimes 2 jobs, 3 jobs are required, both income. I think there's a problem with that because, if a father is so important to a child, can you, some of these fathers are away for 8-10 months, years,
Yeah.
and the father has to choose between, am I going to entrust my child with my wife and the people she surrounds them with while I provide, a healthy lifestyle?
Mhm.
Well, we've all been through it, like Devin, myself, with the oil field schedules, you traveling. I've done many of jobs since getting out that has sent me out of the state just so I can provide, and I miss out so much. And thank God for technology nowadays, because if it wasn't for that in the past, your kids wouldn't know who you were. Like they would know you as Santa Claus. You come around with gifts and you're there for a little bit and then you're gone. And then, but now luckily we have, the ability to at least somewhat communicate and see the kids and see whatnot. But it's still to the point where you're right though. You have to, for the most part, we as men, if we want to be super successful, if you're not gifted in the brain or the hands, you have to be gone. You have to work your ass off. Unless you have a strong partner that can help with that. And so, I see it always. Like,
He mentioned something about how like mothers naturally want to spend more time with their child when they're infants, and fathers seem to really come into their role when the child is between that, 10 to 13-year range, coming into their own. Fathers seem to really play a more important role with their children at that point. And he said, why in certain workplaces are women allowed maternity leave, but fathers aren't afforded that same. He said some companies have tried to implement that, and it's worked out real well. Like one of his guys, when his kids went to high school, he took his leave at that point, like 6 months or whatever it was, and and helped them with the transition into high school. I just, if the system is set up to take care of a mother, I think the system should be set up to take care of a father. If we're understanding that parents being around children more is more impactful than single parent households. I mean, I don't know if you heard what he said, Devin, but he said it's like 66% of his friends in high school come from divorced parents.
Oh yeah, I knew it was pretty high.
That's alarming.
And then he said 1 in 5 in the school had to go to the little timeout center.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Take a nap.
500 out
That's
of
crazy. They have
3,500.
that. Like they didn't have that even when I was in school. And I'm the youngest out of all 3 of us, right? Like
These are
That's-
symptoms. These aren't, you know what I mean? Like these are symptoms of something wrong with children. It's like we're doing something not right. Not we, but obviously you guys are in, most of the fathers out there are trying their hardest, but I'm just saying, like, if 500 kids have to go on timeout because of anxiety or depression, or they need to draw and color pictures in order to calm down, that can't be good.
But is that the bigger? Is that what they want to paint? Is that what they want to happen? Like, you know what I mean? When I'm starting to think about it, it's like they don't want. You could even see it nowadays. They don't want you to free think and go left when everyone's going right. They want everybody to just be following right in line. And I think that's what scares them to death. If we start going back to how it was, where you were independent, you had your own thoughts, you thought and thunk with whatever, we were dangerous. Now,
Thanks a lot,
it's not
Rockefellers.
it's not even
Fucking
like
everything
that
up.
anymore. It's, oh, your kids need to be coddled. They need to go to therapy. They need to be told by somebody that's some fucking wackadoo. It's okay to take all these goddamn pills and
Well,
to
and not just that, Chris, but I mean, think about this, Devin. Think about this, Chris. If you were, what's your earliest how old? What's your earliest memory? At what age? 5, 4,
Younger,
maybe
3?
Yeah,
younger.
probably.
You remember stuff at 2?
I remember when my brother was born. I
Okay.
was like 15 months old.
Okay.
I do remember my first step, but I mean, it's like only like a 1 second, 2 second memory.
Can you imagine from the time you were 4 to the time you were 18, you were told that something was wrong with you for who you were? Because that's what's going on. That's to Chris's point. That's what's going on with this new generation. These centers and this free, these free medications they're passing out to kids. Even if it's ADHD, and they're giving them Adderall. There's something wrong with you. Take this pill. There's something wrong with you. Take this pill. And it's a daily reminder that there's something inherently wrong with you, and the only way you can function is if you take this pill. Now, can you imagine being told that from the age of 4? I mean, that's some early memories.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. And I think that plays into May's point. Is this by design? And you come across these males who just snap. I will finish with this story. I came across a story listening to, I forget what the radio show was, about a man in California had a boy at 2 years of age. They went through a breakup, and the mom said that her 2-year-old boy, now identified as a female, and proceeded to dress him in female clothes at that point from there on out. Now this boy, who is 3, she won't let the father see him because he won't use the baby's proper pronouns. So of course the father is, just feels awful, hires a lawyer, goes to court. Well, the ruling just came out like 2 weeks ago. You know what the ruling was from the judge? The father had a 5-year restraining order put against him for the child.
I did see that.
For not using the proper pronouns of the child.
That's a broken system.
Sounds like a dead judge to me.
Well, and that's exactly what they said. At what point are we going to start seeing men just snap?
Yeah.
This is the more common this becomes, the more you're going to see. You just can't rob a man of his kids.
Right.
Like, I mean, and this guy did everything right and still lost. And like, just something to ponder about. We'll finish with this. This is the audio from the
Sky King, baby.
Yep, the Sky King, Rich Russell.
Everyone standing by for departure. Just hold on with me for a second.
Right, 070. Approach welcome, final runway 16 right. Welcome. Man, I'm a ground service agent. I don't know what that is.
Clear to Portland, Seattle 6 is filed at the 7017. Good for the show, 416 right,
Started up.
Like, May, when you said you listened to this, like you have mixed emotions about it.
It kind of, it to me, it like breaks my heart a little bit, but it's also like, I mean,
it's hilarious but sad. Like it
really is. Because
what breaks your heart about it?
Because he gets up there, like he take the nutsack on this motherfucker to take one of those airplanes and get it off the ground and then up in the air, And then he just kind of tells his story where he's like, I've just got a couple screws loose. Like it just, like it's pretty much not clicking for me anymore. And the only way I can think of is to go out. And he goes out in such a glorious fucking way.
Well,
that,
yeah, we'll play it.
A couple hours, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't know how to land it. I wasn't really planning on landing it.
99 via Bravo over to Mansfield. Sent off. Knows how to fly one of those aircraft, but we'll see what we can do and get you in contact.
You watch this guy fly it, and it looks like he's just like the battlefield.
Yeah, I just kind of want to do a couple maneuvers, see what it can do before I put her down,
Fucking.
Departure Boeing 464. And so I can reach out to you a little easier.
A little bit.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. Shoot. Man, I'm sorry about this. I hope this doesn't ruin your day.
22, cross 16 left contact. Just flying the plane around, you seem comfortable.
Oh, that's the part that breaks my heart. Like, he feels bad about, like, he's apologizing. Like, hey, man, I'm sorry. You guys are going to have a shitty day.
Control people that have to, like, probably, this is why they get paid so much, and they have to do so much therapy too for that position, because you deal with a situation where this guy's not landing this fucking plane. He's going to crash it and kill himself or kill many others, and you have to kind of live with that and then also brush it off and go back to work.
Okay, and Rich, do you know, are you able to tell what altitude you're at?
Runway 16 left, Iconic Tower for your landing clearance.
I threw up all inside of it. It's bad.
Fucking guy. He feels relieved almost.
I was thinking about it, and then probably a good thing I did.
Yeah. Setting in.
494 Monarch Tower 1.
Tower comes to ditch on up.
Yeah, that's all mumbo jumbo. I have no idea what all that means. I wouldn't know how to punch it in. I'm off autopilot.
Okay, see ya. Make a right turn on Bravo.
5,500. Get me to the jets.
No, I'm not taking you to any jets. I'm actually keeping you away from aircraft that are trying to land at SeaTac.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't want to screw with that. I'm glad you're not, screwing up everyone else's day.
But imagine being that jet right up there, just cruising with him, just to make sure, like knowing that your orders are, I got to take this kid down if shit gets wild, but I'm really just kind of up there for guidance.
Yeah, it's.
Yes, sir. We have to do it. There is the runway just off your right side in about a mile. Do you see that? That's McCord Field.
Oh man, those guys will rough me up if I tried landing there. I think
This guy played GTA. He's too scared to go over the Air Force Base.
I think I might mess something up there too. I wouldn't want to do that. Hopefully. Oh, they probably got anti-aircraft.
No, they don't have any of that stuff. We're just trying to find a place for you to land safely.
Yeah, not quite ready to bring it down just yet, but holy smokes, I gotta stop looking at the fuel because it's going down quick.
Okay, Rich, if you could you start a left-hand turn and.
When he does that barrel roll, that's like the craziest.
Yeah. Well, and they said he was doing moves in that airplane that like experienced 10, 15-year pilots can't even pull off.
Really?
Yeah, they did a hardcore interview. And I
that
watched
barrel
it.
roll was 10 foot off water.
Yes.
10 foot off water. I mean, look at this. It's a barrel roll they're showing right now. Where he comes. The fact he did that in that plane, he comes 10 foot. He thought he was going to die there, and he made it out.
I just want you to whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
I just want you to whisper.
Roger. It's going to be a while before we can get into cargo. 5-1-2-1.
That'd be better than trying to land it. Like, I know how to put the landing gear down.
7,000. Check play level 4.
And, tell you what, let's just do this.
So what would, if you were to do it, how would you do it?
Well, I'd try to figure out how to use the autopilot first.
On the Roger taxi spot 88 via Bravo Connect right.
He's asking for advice how to do a barrel roll.
Not concentrate so much on flying the airplane.
Hey, you think if I land this successfully, Alaska will give me a job as a pilot?
I think they would give you a job of doing anything if you could pull this off.
Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy.
I thought that was interesting. Like, why did he feel a need to say that?
Yeah, I just like where he's like, I'm gonna go check out the Olympics real quick.
Like,
Talking to
you
that
are.
aircraft this time. If they need your assistance, I will let you know. But they're talking to that aircraft right now. Roger.
The crazy part is like, he's I'm gonna do a barrel roll, and if I make it, then I'll just call it a day.
Yeah, I'm still here, Rich. So now maintain 10,000, please.
But kind of not either.
0,000.
If you wanted to land, probably the best bet is that runway just ahead and to your left. Again, that's McCord Field. If you wanted to try, that might be the best way to set up and see if you can land there. Or just like the pilot suggests, another option would be over Puget Sound into the water.
Dang, did you talk to McCord yet? Because I don't think I'd be happy with you telling me I could land like that, because I could mess some stuff up.
Well, Rich, I already talked to him, and just like me, what we want to see is you not get hurt or anybody else get hurt. So like I said, if you want to try to land, that's probably the best place to go.
Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca with the, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy.
285, runway 16 strike for the land.
Behind you, there is another aircraft. Would you be willing to talk to them if they're on the frequency and maybe they can help you land?
Let me check for you. Hang on. That's right. It's up to you guys, but we got one going just in case. Okay, thank you.
Back into the water. Hey, what's that airport right there behind me? Like to my left.
Okay, Rich. Well, first of all, we just need you to keep flying the air.
Pilot on. I want to know what this weather's going to be like in the Olympics. There's no clouds hardly.
That's just the wind blowing over all the bumpy surfaces there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the one I watched, it was sad. It had music, and I think that's what made it probably a lot sadder. But he gets in there and he talks about how he literally apologizes, and he's just like, I don't feel like I have it anymore. So,
all right, man. Well,
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Remember, talk to somebody. It ain't that hard.
When you're
Just
sitting
talk
by
to
your
somebody.
tree that you put up by yourself, there's no one else to exchange presents with. You can hijack a plane and just fly it around for a little while.
Just for a little bit.
Probably not nowadays.
We should probably finish on a good story, huh? Since that was all super depressing and stuff. Let's see here. I got a couple. I don't know if you guys follow us on Twitter, but I do post some happy stuff every now and then. Let me see here. Pull this up for you guys.
I'm hardly ever on X.
At the end of the day, find you a 3 a.m. phone call guy. Okay, everybody's got to have one. Just find you somebody.
Here's a happy little story to end on here. All right, this little kid need a little help, a little speed here to make his jump.
Go.
At first, I thought that was Michael J. Fox, Werewolf.
Good moment.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah, Teen
Good
Wolf.
stuff there. Good
He
stuff.
even did a kickflip too with the board as he went over it.
Yeah, you fucking nailed it. Good job. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Anything you guys want to add to the show before you head out?
No.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. This is our fire following step. If exposed, remove the